ordinary time, but we also have a saint today, Saint Hilary of Poitiers. Um, Obviously, he sounds like he's French because he is, and I'll get to that. It was not really France at that time, but it was Gaul because he's in the middle of the 4th century. So dies in the year 367. But like I said, I'll talk a little bit more about Saint Hilary coming up. He or Just a reminder of kind of the schedule for the rest of the week. We do have adoration going on today um, until closing with benediction around 7 o'clock. I'll start live streaming. I will start live streaming at 6:30 p.m. and then about 10 till 7 we'll close with benediction. Then tomorrow and Friday there is mass at 8 a.m. at St. John the Baptist. And then for the weekend coming up, we follow what our normal schedule has become. Um, Confessions are at St. John the Baptist on Saturday afternoon from 3 p.m. till 4:15 p.m., followed by 4:30 p.m. Mass at St. John's. And then on Sunday, there are 8 a.m. confessions until 8:30 a.m. at St. Michael's, followed by Mass at 8:45, and then a 10:30 Mass at St. John the Baptist. So that is the update on the schedule. As I mentioned, St. Hilary was from the region of the Roman Empire known as Gaul, modern day France. Poitiers is where he was raised. He was born into a very wealthy pagan family and studied at wonderful schools during that time. It was around the year 350 that he experienced a conversion. Uh, he said his mastery of rhetoric, or I shouldn't say, it was through his studies which persuaded him that the true God can only be one, that he came in contact with Christian scriptures. So, especially the prologue to St. John's Gospel that talks about the Word was with God and the Word was God, that was kind of instrumental in his conversion. So, he was baptized in 350. At that time he was married and had a daughter. Um, well, the people of Poitiers held him in great esteem, and in 353 they chose him as their bishop. Then normally bishops would come from priests or deacons, but occasionally if there was a well-known layman that the people had great respect for, he would be named a bishop, and St. Hilary follows under that. The Christian world that he comes into at this point is torn apart by the Arian heresy, as it's called. Arianism was tried to be put to rest at the Council of Nicaea in 325. The Emperor Constantine, in legalizing Christianity, he sees that there is this uh, division among the Christians, and probably as much for religious as political um, desires. He wants a unity among the Christians in the Roman Empire. So he calls the bishops together in Nicaea, which is in modern day Turkey, to hash this out. Arian was a bishop who proposed that there was a time when the Son of God didn't exist. So this was all about who Christ was. That was kind of an early issue an issue in the early church. So Arianism held that the Son of God was created out of non-being, that there was a time when he did not exist, that his nature was capable of good and evil, that he is a creature and created. Now, hopefully, everyone is listening to that going, well, that's wrong. That's not what we profess in the Creed. That's why it's the Nicene Creed. It's actually the Nicene Constantinopolitan Creed because of the Council of Constantinople also helps to clarify this. But the Council of Nicaea says, no, that is not what the faith, that's not the Catholic faith. That's why we'll say that we believe Jesus Christ is one uh, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, consubstantial with the Father. Through him all things were made, of the same substance. That term, that was kind of a big point of the Council of Nicaea. So those words that we say every Sunday in the Creed, This is being fought over. So even after the Council of Nicaea in 325 clarifies what the true faith is, now that has to be kind of disseminated out into the wider church in the Roman Empire. And so many synods and meetings took place to try to get this teaching out. So it's in this kind of time frame that St. Hilary uh, is converted and gets the Christian faith, and then is named the bishop of Poitiers in 353. So he is known as the great defender of orthodoxy in the West. So this continues to be a problem, and council after council is called dealing with this. And there's even a time when it seems like the Arians win, that they, after Constantine's no longer the emperor and his sons take over, and after that, and as all these, if you want to look the history of the Roman Empire, I don't want to really go down that trail. Um, During that time, as different emperors come along, they're looking in different ways. Sometimes it's for theological reasons, sometimes it's for political reasons, usually it's for both. They're trying to establish peace. And it seems that the West was holding on maybe a little bit more to the Orthodoxy, but the power had shifted to Constantinople as the political center of the Roman Empire. But theologically, the Eastern bishops tended to seem to embrace more of an Arian um, theological standing. So this keeps going on, and to the point where there are certain documents, the professions of faith that bishops are required to sign, and if they won't sign them, they're sent into exile. Well, um, one Hilary would not sign one that because he believed it to still be Arian, and they're trying to hedge their bet. They're trying to find peace, so they're trying to find a middle road. But obviously, in his mind and in hindsight, it was too far towards Arianism. So he goes into exile over kind of in the area of Turkey and continues there. And stays in exile for quite a few years. I'm trying to think of when exactly he did come back. While he's in exile, though, that's when he writes his great work on the Trinity. He writes some other works on synods and also a history of the church, which we don't really have very much, but just a few fragments of. But his great work on the Trinity still there. And so, yeah, he is seen as this great champion of the Orthodox faith. Eventually, he returns to Poitiers in 360. So, for about 4 or 5 years, I think he was in exile. And he fights for the Orthodox faith and convinces the other bishops of that area to embrace what we consider to be the Orthodox understanding of Christ as consubstantial or of the same substance as the Father, all the things that are professed in the Creed. Um, he dies in, let's see, he was not yet 60, but he died in 367. Um, as this says, not yet 60, but worn out by his travels, exile, and struggles. He was known as the St. Athanasius of the West. Some of the things that they had to sign were denouncements of St. Athanasius, who was in the East kind of the big defender of orthodoxy against Arianism. So sometimes Hilary is referred to as the Athanasius of the West. Um, so it wasn't, though, until 1851 that he was declared a doctor of the church. Um, but he has a great history in defending the faith, even to the point of going in exile. So we'll ask for St. Hilary to intercede for us as we continue to look out for each other and pray for each other. And through that intercession of St. Hilary,